The Canon 24-105 is arguably one of the most versatile lenses. For its price, it's extremely reliable, it's a very clean image and the focal range is great. But when you want something with a little bit more character, this is where vintage lenses come in. So why use an older, cheaper lens when you have a relatively new lens? Well, vintage lenses were used on film cameras, and there's something about the look they produce that's so appealing. When you attach it to a modern DSLR or a mirrorless camera, it produces a classic vintage aesthetic, getting you closer to the film look. There are two avenues you can go down when buying a vintage lens. You can either buy something that's been well loved or something that's been beaten. A lens which has been used to death or a bit mistreated will give you something that's opposite to sterile, perfect for a highly stylized image. Then there are well looked after vintage lenses. You would think these were less common than those lenses that have collected dust or dirt, but most people take special care of their camera equipment. The quality of the glass inside most of these old lenses is far superior to their modern equivalent in the similar price range. For a fraction of the price, you'll get top quality glass. The Jupiter 9-85 f2 lens, which I picked up for £80. I've been wanting an 85mm lens for a while now, but I couldn't justify the price of the Canon or Sony versions of this lens. For a lens that I'll not be using on a daily basis and might just sit in my camera bag until I need it, this is a real benefit of picking up a vintage lens. But be warned, some vintage lenses that are even in pristine condition have some characteristics that you'll either love or you'll hate. The 85mm produces some serious lens flares. If there's a light source just off frame, you'll get some soft bright lens flares, but in all honesty, they'll look pretty cool. Adding coloured gel to your light and you're now shooting something that's really stylistic. But if you want to shoot clean, you can always put a lens hood or flag the light from hitting your lens. The 35mm has a heavy vignette. Vignettes are something people add to their image in post-production, so I don't consider this as a downside to this lens. If anything, I quite like the look it gives, as it guides the audience's eyes to the subject. The vignette is very natural, as it does it in camera, so there are no banding issues like vignettes added in post. Back in the day, changing the f-stop was done mechanically and not electronically, meaning that adjusting the aperture is done on the lens. What is great about some vintage lenses is the aperture does not click, it's smooth, just like the focus ring. This means if you want to, you can adjust the exposure during the take and it doesn't jump from f-stop to f-stop. This is handy if you need to adjust the exposure if the camera is travelling from outside to inside. So vintage lenses are a little bit quirky. They give you something unique, authentic, and something just a little bit different. But here's some of the downsides of them. Vintage lenses don't have image stabilization, so if you're shooting handheld or running gun, you'll probably experience micro jitters. With a modern lens that has IS like the 24-105, it removes those micro jitters from your image. Lastly, if you aren't planning on embracing the quirky flaws of the vintage lens because the project needs a clean look, then you'll probably need to use something like the 24-105. The question is, should you buy a vintage lens? Well, they're relatively cheap, extremely well built, and just that little bit different. So yeah, vintage lenses are pretty cool. Thanks for watching. If you have any vintage lenses that have certain characteristics that you like, let us know in the comments below. Also, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We've got a new video every Tuesday and a vlog every Sunday.